Welcome. How did I get so lucky to spend 4 days with you?
I mean, oh, likewise. What an honor and pleasure.
So much fun. I'm really grateful for the conversation we're going to have today. Because what I know is that when, so I just had a friend I was talking to, let me tell you this really quick, which I think you'll find very entertaining. I had a friend who, we were talking about the bars and the gift the bars has been to him. And he said, it's really funny, Sarah. He's like, I have this other friend who, she's always stressed out. She's always going through waves of depression. She's like, she has a lot of capacities, but she turns them on herself all the time. And he said, and I just casually mentioned the bars, like, hey, maybe try to find someone in your area that get your bars run. And he said, it was so wild the way that she came back at me and asked me, have you ever been diagnosed? And he was like, whoa, like, where are you going with that? And she said, you shouldn't go trying different things like until you've been diagnosed. And how this reality looks for that diagnosis of what's wrong. And also when you look at just the word psychology, it's like, if you don't have that word pragmatic before it, what it means is go find out, go sit with somebody for a really long, this is my Sarah's interesting point of view, but sit with somebody for a long time. And because I went to therapy, and find out what's wrong with you and talk about it for a really long time. And never really uncover the gift of all the things that you be that don't fit. And so looking from this place of unhiding your crazy possibilities, I would love to hear you talk more about what that even means when this world only wants to diagnose it, label it, and toss it aside.
Yeah. So definitely thank you for that. And thank you for the introduction and this platform of, yes, psychology most of the time is about looking at what doesn't work and what's wrong and then fixing it and finding solutions. And that is one way of looking at the world. And it's not that it's wrong or bad, not at all. It's just one perspective to have on the world. And so most people who are seekers, most people who are different, they've always known, and you guys out there, you can look in your own world, like how much have you always known that life can actually be ease, joy, and glory. And then you looked at your parents, and then you looked at your family and saw what they're choosing and what they're making real, which for definitely most people is not ease, joy, and glory. It's the celebration of limitations. It's the celebration of struggle. It's the rightness of struggle. It's the rightness of limitations. So there's a lot of rightness of being wrong. There's a lot of rightness of having a limitations. I'm right because I have a limitation. I am somebody. I'm also a normal person because I have a limitation. And this is something that has been celebrated daily by people. And then it's like there's so many people who indulge in their problems. Like I am like other people. I also have a problem, because if you wouldn't have a problem, how different would you be? How abnormal would you be? How insane would you be in other people's eyes? Because you have to have an issue. If you have no issue, you're at least supposed to have a mother issue or a father issue or something with your past. I mean, there's this point of view, you're suppressing something. You're not really getting it. It's like, how many of you guys out there have been projected upon that you're not getting it? You're not really, really getting the seriousness of it because you're taking things too lightly. You're taking things too easy. And we have talked about the tool, what is heavy is a lie, what's true is light. Because this tool is gold. It is a tool that helps you to navigate through the world and find what's true for you. Because if you live in this world where all these people around you have all these points of view about what you're supposed to think and what's right and what's wrong, like this is like brainwash, where you go, I don't know what I know anymore. I don't know. Do I know anything? Am I wrong? Am I right? Am I supposed to have a problem? I don't know anymore because I have all these other people's thoughts and points of view in my head. I don't have clarity what I know. So one of the tools to find out, okay, what is true for me is not about thinking, or ordering other people's points of view or investigating them or exploring them. It's actually ease with what is true for me, what is light, what opens up my world, where do I go? That's what's going on. And that creates a lightness where you find what's true for you. I can give you an example from today. So today I had a day with full, like my schedule was full with things. And then other things popped up that I also had to do and get done. And then other people who needed something from me, and then this and this. And so, and I started out with, okay, I'm just going to start with this, and I'm going to do the next and the next and the next and the next. It was all easy. And then there was a point where I had the thought in my head, I'm so stressed. And I said to myself, I hate being stressed. Like this is not how I would like to navigate my work life, by being stressed all the time. And it did, like, calling it stress, like there's something, I was stuck. It was like a dead end road. I couldn't find a way of changing it. Like using the tools that I usually use to change heaviness like this, it didn't work. And I know when I use tools and it doesn't change, I know there's a lie. I know there's something that is not what it is. And so I asked, okay, I'm calling this stress. I'm calling this overwhelm. Okay, so obviously it's not that, because otherwise it would have changed by now with the tools I'm usually using. And so I'm like, okay, so is it really stress or is it something else? Okay, I'm like, it actually is something else. And I ask myself, so what is, if I take away the label, the diagnose of stress, if I take away that label and I ask, and I really investigate, explore what that thing is, what is it? And I'm like, is it stress or am I just receiving more than ever? Wow. And that just went in my world. And I'm like, wow, that is where the lightness showed up. This is where my world went. Oh, it opened up again from the contraction of calling it stress. It opened up a space of, oh, that's what's going on. I bought the lie of it being stress, which created more heaviness. It added to the contraction. And I also could feel it in my body, in my head, and everywhere. And I'm like, okay, so is it? And then when I acknowledged what was actually going on, when I acknowledged what was true, there was a lightness and an ease, and I could relax again. And I'm like, oh, that's what's true for me. And everything changed. There was just a gratitude. And I'm like, acknowledging that I'm receiving more than ever makes me not needing to control my whole day. Because before I controlled my whole day and went, okay, I have to do this and I have to do this. And when can I get this done? But the need to control my to-do list went away when I acknowledged what was actually going on. And this is the case with any of these so-called diagnoses, because you mentioned your friend with depression. It's like when we call something, we call it depression, we call it anxiety, we call it whatever we call it. It is a box, and then we have decided this is what it is. We have an answer. And I gotta say, in the beginning, it seems like a relief. When I worked in psychiatry and I did a lot of, there's so-called neuropsychological testing. So the doctor would say, can you please check if this patient has ADHD? Can you check if they have this and this diagnosis? And then I did these tests, and then I wrote a report. And when we talked about this, the patients would always go, oh, I have ADHD. Oh, thank goodness. Now I know I have an answer to why I'm so weird and so different. Now I know why I'm not normal like other people. Now I have a word for it that I can use in the communication with other people. So in the beginning, it always opened up something. It was always an acknowledgement of, yes, you are different. But then later, people always held on to this new answer of who they are. They made it who they are. They made it a personality, a definition. And that's where the limitation started, because nobody is just an ADHD person. Nobody is depression. Nobody is anxiety. You're an infinite being. But if you stick with the diagnose as though this is who you are, this is definitely limiting. But okay, there are people who don't want to know more than, okay, I have a depression. But if you are willing to explore that there's so much more to you, with your craziness, with your so-called insanity, that's actually a sanity, your world opens up, and you can start to use that so-called wrongness as a resource to see things the way only you see them. Because when you're ADHD, or you have like these tendencies, or autistic, or you have depression or anxiety, there's definitely a capacity behind it that you can explore and use to truly create a different world and business and relationships for you. Yeah, there's so much to it. So yeah.
There is. I'm excited we still have 20 minutes to dig in. Okay. Well, what I saw there too, and I know for me, I was diagnosed with depression and like anxiety and panic attacks in the past. And when you're talking about this, it reminded me of that energy that would come up, that anytime I would use it as like an excuse or a reason for or whatever, and I would just say the word like you did, I would pull in everybody's interpretation of what that meant about me. And so now it's like, we say in Access, Gary and Dane tell us all the time, definition by definition alone is a limitation. So it was like I had taken this new branding of myself, put it on, and everywhere I walked, someone over here thought depression meant that you were suicidal. Someone over here just thought you were having a bad day. Someone over here was like, is she going to melt down for her anxiety attacks or, her panic attacks or whatever? And it was always like this new navigation tool that I thought was going to get me somewhere, right? Like, and also became somewhat of a crutch. Oh, I can't do that. I have panic attacks or whatever. And so I wasn't truly being me. And what you said here, which again, little toss away statement, but it's so true when you said insanity, which is actually a sanity, and the capacity underneath it. So I would love to look at if you can unpack some of these things. So depression, and like, how aware are you? I know that's one, like you're so aware of the world around you that you think all that shit's yours. ADHD, what's underneath that you've discovered that's a strongness? What's underneath panic attacks and that kind of, like, can you unpack some of those things that I know isn't a blanket statement? Like, we're not saying if you have this, then you actually have this, but to start asking questions about what is underneath this thing that this reality has told you is your diagnosis, and what can you start to look at?
Definitely. So it's funny because I was diagnosed with ADHD for real, because I was when I was starting to learn how to use these test machines for finding out diagnosis. I gave the test. I did them on myself, and I gave it to my colleague, and he's like, I have to tell you something. And I'm like, what? He's like, you actually do have the results for an ADHD person. And I'm like, yes, cool, And he's like, what? So, and I know that, and because in my world, for example, and you maybe notice this when I'm talking, there's so many things at the same time in my world. And so I always have to go, so which one am I going to say first? Because I would like to say 100 things at the same time, but I have to choose which one is the lightest to voice now. And so that's one way how this is expressing itself. The other thing is, I could never do one thing and then finish it. Like, I would start with, for example, when I wrote reports, as a so-called professional, I couldn't write a report from start to end. I always had to start writing a report and do something else. Yeah, maybe check my emails, then continue the report, then do something else again, continue the report. This is the way how I learned to get things done. And I know many people have are like, oh my God, what else is possible? Have this way of functioning, and it's not a handicap. It's a resource. A handicap would be saying, oh, you have to focus and you have to get something done. Why? Why do you have to function like other people? So this would be just finding a way of using it. And in that way, I have found that I can take care of so many projects at the same time. I can write at least 2 books at the same time. I can have multiple projects at the same time because I can jump from this to this to this to this. So it's a capacity to uphold multiple universes at the same time, and it's like juggling with them, and and playing. And to have more ease, like I know I have to have people around me who contribute to me with the practical things, like I wouldn't be the best person to write a Google Doc, that wouldn't be my preference. So I have people who love doing that, who do that for me, because I've learned, which is, kind of new, I don't have to do it all by myself. I can actually have people who contribute and do things for me that they are good at. So, but this way, and I've also worked in my work as a psychologist with people who have gotten the diagnosis, who have created awesome businesses. They could create many different businesses at the same time, had super great, new, innovative ideas, about different areas. I'm lacking the words in English now, but it was different, different businesses, and they were highly successful, made a lot of money with their different way of viewing the world, because they could have this idea, which contributed to that idea, which created a new idea over there, and it all played together and extrapolated great to greatness. And yes, they had to have people who did the nitty-gritty stuff, but it's a mega resource, if you start acknowledging and using it. And it's the same with all the other things. You mentioned depression, and this is where people might go, but how is depression a capacity? Because depression, the symptoms are, whatever, tiredness and feeling low and all that. But if you stay with the symptoms of anything, you are just looking at the surface, and you're easily fooled by thinking it's something wrong. But if you actually look underneath and go, what is that thing that I call depression? And you already mentioned it. It's one part of it is many times it's an awareness of what the person could choose as their life and their future that they haven't, for whatever reason, maybe for other people, or to make someone else happy, or whatever it is. But it's an awareness of what could be possible, that could be chosen. That's one part of it. And there are many other aspects, and it's not just like this little part. There's a lot of aspects to it. But this awareness, when acknowledged, could be used to, again, create your life and your future. And also your awareness of other people. If you're highly aware, which is, the case of most of these so-called insanities, they're and where people are highly aware of what's going on. And awareness is a treasure box. Awareness is not a curse, which many people think. And other people call it sensitivity. There are different names to it. We call it awareness. So awareness is not a curse. It's actually a treasure box, because you're always in advantage. You will always know, you will always have more information than anybody else around you, which can serve you to make greater decisions, choices that work for a longer term. You look into the future, you have an awareness of what is required now to create a future with my business in 5-10 years. Other people might just look at the logical part, which they can only calculate like 6 months. In these times, probably only 1 month, because everything is changing. But with awareness, you're far in the future, and you have a big advantage. So these are just some of the examples of capacities with these things, Yeah.
So what's popping in right now to ask you, and if it's left field, I do apologize, but I don't apologize, but I apologize. The things out there, like whether it's, a TikTok video or a meme, or, just media in general telling you that message of like, it's okay to feel all the feels, go in deep, be in all the feelings. And like, I remember I hosted a workshop in my salon to contribute to women years ago. And I invited a speaker, and she was like a life coach. And she's like, if you go into a depression, I remember hearing this, and this was like taught to her to give to people. And I like cringed and then didn't do the workshop anymore. But she's like, be in that for 3 days. Let yourself go there for 3 days. Just, be depressed, be on the couch, feel all the feels. It's okay. And I'm like, there's a space of like being an allowance of what you're aware of. But what I know for me, if I were to go into a cave of depression for 3 days, there's no telling when I would come out. And so, I mean, like, again, this might be left field. I might be pulling it out of someone who's watching, but can you talk about like what tools someone can use that doesn't require, because you're talking about the awareness being that treasure box. And now I know if I walk into a room and all of a sudden I like perceive that depression, I don't have to feel it, own it, make it mine, try to figure it out. Cause I know I love my life, and I know I love living my life. And so if that's there, I'm like, okay, like who does it belong to? And that kind of, can you go from a pragmatic psychology perspective into what the invitation is there?
Oh, I love that question. It's amazing. So yes, feelings are a big thing in this world, and we're supposed to feel all the time. And but the thing that people are not questioning is, what is my feeling? What is the thing that I call feeling? So am I feeling, or is that what I call feeling actually my perceiving? And this is oftentimes a big misunderstanding and misapplication, because if you call it feeling, a feeling is always based on positive or negative. So you don't have much choice. Then either you feel good or you feel bad. That's not a big scale of possibilities, good or bad, right or wrong. That's like plus and minus. You don't have much to go here. And you only have two boxes, a good feeling or a bad feeling. So feelings are actually, they can be amazing and fun. You watch a movie, you cry, and it's wonderful. So feelings can be fun. It's nothing wrong with feelings. It's just that if you let your life be run by feelings, you can only have a good day or a bad day. And you always have to worry, okay, I'm having a good day. How long is this good feeling going to last? Have to hold on to it, have to hold on to this, because, like, I know the bad will come, because it's based on polarity. And then you feel bad. You go, oh my God, how long do I have to feel bad? When can I feel, how do I get to my happy state again? So it's like plus minus, you ping pong from good to bad, from bad to good. So if you let your life be navigated, be run by feelings, it doesn't give you much playground. But if you start asking, what are those things that I call feelings? Then you can have a bigger perspective. You can have a bigger life. You can ask, okay, am I really, like, let's say you say to yourself, I feel bad. Okay, I feel bad. Okay, she said, ask a question. Okay, so what is that feeling? And then you can ask, am I feeling bad, or am I aware of something here that's in the, negative or contracted direction? Oh, okay. And you check, like, if you say, I feel bad, does it open up or does it actually contract you? If you say, I perceive, like, there's something I perceive here around, something contracted. Notice that probably makes in your world and your body, which we call more space, more lightness. So again, probably something that's more true for you. So you can go further if you want and go, okay, what am I perceiving? Like, is this a person? Is this the earth that's having a hard time? Is it a couple of people? And you don't have to know where it exactly comes from. It's enough that you go, okay, is this really a feeling, or is it something I'm perceiving? Because if you make it a feeling, the only choice you have is making it personal. And it has to be about you, and you're wrong, and you feel bad, and you have to pull yourself out of the bad feeling, rather than what am I perceiving? And this is huge. This is huge. If you just take away this, that you ask for every feeling, am I feeling or am I perceiving? What am I perceiving? And right now, oh my God, there's so many people who go, I feel anxious for the future. I feel depressed about the situation right now. And it's like, it's there, it's all around. So how much are you picking it up, making it yours, making it personal, rather than, is this from me or is this from somewhere, around me or in the world? And you don't have to make it yours. You don't have to take it on for other people. Like probably there are a lot of you guys out there who have the capacity to be healers, make things easier for other people. But just because you have that capacity doesn't mean you have to use it all the time. Because there are people who don't want help. There are people who don't desire change, and that is okay. We need to be an allowance when other people don't want to change. We need to be an allowance when other people want to keep their limitations. It's actually pretty disempowering to take it away from other people. Allowing them to have their limitations, that's the greatest empowerment you can be to people, because they might choose it. You allowing them to choose it might be exactly what they require to make a different choice. And when they make a different choice, their lives will change. So, just a totally different perspective on how to be with each other and the world. You're muted.
I wanted to point you to an analogy that you used one time that just like was so awesome. And I have used it and stolen it from you, giving you credit. But do you remember the fart analogy?
Yes.
Will you share that with our listeners?
So I don't know where it was, which in conversation we had, some whatever, but we talked about judgments, I think, right?
Yeah. And I'm just thinking where it also plays with this feeling thing where you're,
yes,
so I won't give it away. You do it.
Yes. So, when there are judgments out there, whether it's your own, but mostly if it's other people's judgments of you, we talked about like, how can I navigate judgments? How can I be with the judgments? And most of the times, like, when there's a judgment coming your way, are you going, oh, okay, it's just a judgment, or are you actually making it real? Are you, agreeing to it, aligning to it, and all that stuff? So what you can do instead is, what would you do if someone would fart? Would you go into the fart and go, oh my God, I can smell it. I have like, what does it mean? Why did that person's fart? Is it because of me? Did I do something wrong? Or would you just, open up the window and let the stink go and move on? Like, what would you choose? And so it's like the same with judgments. What if judgments are nothing else than a fart? Like someone, makes a fart in your direction. Why would you take that personal? It doesn't mean anything. So what if you just open the window, move away? That would actually be funny. Someone judges you, you would go and open the window. I want to make a video.
And it's also like the same with perceiving feelings. Like you walk in, you smell out a feeling in the room, let's say, or in the world, just because you woke up, there doesn't even have to be anybody near you. And you're like, oh, hold on, let me go figure out how that was my fart. Let me go sniff it out and pull it into my world and see if I smell like this fart, or just decide that you do. Because you smell it doesn't mean you be it, or you dealt it, how they say, smelt it, dealt it. No, you can go, oh, wow, there is a lot of depression in the world, a lot of anxiety up in the world right now. Is this mine? Who does it belong to? And open the window and let it move on and don't have to claim it. So
good. I love that one. I mean, that would definitely create something different.
Exactly. So I know that you have some calls coming up. I wrote it down here because I wanted to ask you about it. Your Pragmatic Exploration, a 6-part series. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because looking at the access tools, for the longest time, I sat in the background of classes, and like it truly felt like, and my brother's up there. I know Gary personally, and I'd sit in a class and it would just feel like just went way over my head, like half the time. So if you're listening to this, you're not wrong if you're still like, who does this belong to mean? And what the hell is energy? And what the hell is light heavy? But I would sit there with my face being like, I know. Because, my image, I had to look like I knew, didn't know shit. I did. I just wasn't willing to like step into it. But what I know is that when I looked at my wrongness, strongness, one thing that came from me was that I would always take a situation and paint it with pictures and tell a story. Like even as a little girl, my mom would say, "How was your day?" And I would say, it was like I was walking through the forest, okay? And out came a lion. And my mom would be like, "Just tell me how your day was. Like, why do you have to do this all the time?" But I realized that once I just chose to become a facilitator, the way that I create with words, the pictures, like the fart analogy, is the way that I required to hear it. And so I get to be that now for other people so that like the tools can be more pragmatic. And so I say all that to look at the joy of creating with you always is these pragmatic conversations. Like we vibe on that pragmatic level. So can you tell me about what a telecall with you like, I know you can't project. I know we're not doing expectation here, but just like, what are you asking to contribute to people with a pragmatic exploration?
Yeah. So at this title, Your Pragmatic Exploration, it actually came from, it started a couple of months ago where I'm like, wow, so how much more can I explore? And exploration is really from totally curiosity, from no reference points. Like, I looked at things in my business and some projects and creations. I'm like, wow, so where am I actually creating from how I did it before? Oh, I know this. Oh, I've done this before. Oh, it worked before. And how much am I limiting what it can be and how great it can be? And I did the same with my relationship. And I'm like, wow, how many old reference points do I have that, I could change into an exploration? Same with my body, the past 3 years, my body has been changing. And I looked at it, wow, I had all these reference points of how I view and look at my body. I wasn't really exploring what's possible. But this is something we haven't learned to explore. We've learned to conclude, to judge. Oh, this is the way you do it. This is not the way you do it. Oh, I found my way. I'm going to hold on to this. I found my business. I found my friend. I'm going to hold on to them, which keeps things from growing. It actually starts to slowly diminish what you have created if you don't look from an exploration possibility. So these 6 calls are going to be an exploration in all kinds of different areas of your life, with business, money, body, relationship, and anything to create a greater future. And so I'm really looking forward to this. So thank you, Sarah. You put it in the banner, and it's starting on January 20th, 6 calls of total exploration. Yes.
I am excited for that to be in the world. So thank you so much. And thank you for being you. And thank you for being the invitation you are to me and so many others. And can we invite to Misfit Merriment too?
Yes.
So all of you on here, I get to play with Susanna again this month. How did I get so lucky? There will be 12 days of Facebook Lives with 12 different facilitators, Susanna being one of them. We have Dr. Dane here. We have Chris Hughes, Simone Millicis, Brennan Watt, Megan Hill, Emily Russell, the Bowmans, Shannon O'Hara, Katarina Walentin,
Francesca
Fiorentini. Did I get all 12? I would be so impressed. Oh, David Kubis. That might have been 12. Okay. But basically what's different this year is that all of them are bringing a gift. And so basically we're going to talk about how they are going, what their favorite gifts are from the holidays, what it is to be a gift in the world. And then at the end, we're going to draw a name from anybody who purchased the raffle portion. You can join for $35 USD or upgrade it by $100 and get entered into the raffle. And so the gifts that these people are giving, like, you know how generous they just be, all of them, with their energy and the contribution they just be in the world. Susanna, as you've seen, 4 amazing lives just to gift to people to contribute to greater. But then you have all of these people bringing an actual gift that you will receive if your name is drawn. And then the last day, we have a fun little thing where the person who gets drawn for the last day will be chosen ahead of time and invited on the live with Dane, and they get to choose whether they get Dane's gift or steal one of the other gifts and from the first 11 people and give Dane's gift to that person. So it'll be like a little swappy swap fun time. So go ahead.
So cool. I'm really looking forward to this.
Me too.
Yeah. Yes.
Me too. I can't wait for the holidays and the playing that you guys all be and the gift that you all be. So good. I love this creation. I'm really looking forward. Wow. And the gifts, I know I've seen some of them. I'm like, wow, they were amazing. Also, by the way, before I forget, someone texted me, talking about gifts. Like, we had a little raffle for this one too. So for you guys who put in your names and you invited people, so there's gonna be the announcement of the winner after this Facebook Live. So just stay tuned in the group. We're gonna announce the winners of the coupon and the session, and yeah, really excited. Are you gonna do it on a live or like in a announcement post? So
I think first going to do it. She's my boss, so I don't know exactly how we're gonna do it.
She's my boss too. We have the same boss.
Oh, amazing! I love it.
Okay, I adore you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you so much for you.
Adore you. Bye.
Bye.